Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us on the Pitt Honors virtual session. My name is Chris Searcher. I'm an assistant director for the Office of Admissions and Financial Aid. One of the things I do for the office is a member of the Pitt Honors Admission Committee. So I got to see firsthand the more than 7,000 applications that we received this year for roughly 600 spots for incoming students. So it was extremely competitive. Congratulations, especially to the students who received admission to the Pitt Honors programs, but to all admitted students tuning in today, congratulations on that great achievement. This session is going to focus on everything that you can do with the Honors College, all of the resources, and how you can really transform yourself as a student through Pitt Honors College, whether you're officially in the Honors College or some options to maybe reapply at the end of your first year. So I'll focus on the Honors College today. I'm joined by 4 members of the Pitt Honors College, so we're going to turn it to each of them so they can introduce themselves a little bit and tell the students about what they do for the Honors College. The first one I want to introduce today is the acting dean of the Pitt Honors College, Dean Morell. Dean Morell, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you. It's great to be here. And as you heard from Chris, I have the privilege of serving as acting dean of the Honors College. I'm also a psychologist by training and a professor in the School of Business, and look forward to answering your questions.
Thank you, Dean Morell. It's great to have you today. Assistant Dean, Dr. Horniak. And I believe, Dr. Horniak, you actually were a student once of the Pitt Honors College. So you can talk a little bit about that throughout today. I'm sure the students would really like to hear about your experience as an honors student and as a faculty and staff member here at Pitt.
That's right, Chris. I came as an undergrad to Pitt, and I can help answer any questions you might have about honors courses, about the Bachelor of Philosophy degree, or just the honors joint degree in general.
Next up, the manager of recruitment, Matt Schultz.
Thanks, Chris, and thanks to everyone who's joining us today. As Chris said, I'm the manager of recruitment for the Honors College, so I spend a lot of my time meeting with prospective high school students and their parents. I know a little bit about everything that the Honors College does, so I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have, really about anything that takes place at the Honors College, which is quite a bit.
And the last Honors College member joining us today, Parker Werns, who actually manages the housing, which is one of the biggest perks with Pitt Honors, is the opportunity to live in the Honors College LLC. So Parker, thank you for coming on today with us live.
Yeah, thanks so much. Like you said, I'm Parker. So I do all the programming and the nitty-gritty stuff in all of our living learning communities. So I'm super excited to talk about those and talk about all the different ways that you can be an honor student, not just in the classroom, but all over campus.
So thank you again for the Pitt Honors, for the 4 members joining us today. We're going to take as much time as possible in the next 45 minutes to answer all of your questions. If there's something that we unfortunately can't get to, we're going to try to answer all those questions throughout the chat. So if you don't get it in live, we'll try to respond to you at the end. Any questions, you can also send text message through the number that you signed up for. And then before we get started with some of the questions that are coming in today live, Matt, could you just provide an email for any students who have questions later on today, over the weekend, the next couple of weeks that you can help with?
Sure. Yeah, if you have any questions that we aren't able to get to today, or you think of some in the coming days, you can feel free to email me directly. My email address is mas216@pitt.edu. I answer emails from prospective students and parents all the time about all sorts of different things. So whatever the question might be, big question, little question, feel free to reach out to me.
Thanks, Matt. All right, so let's get started with the live questions. The first one I think is best answered by Parker. So they're asking, what are some of the advantages or disadvantages to living in the Honors College LLC compared to maybe a major specific LLC, whether it's Bruce Hall for business students or engineering students or a different type of program that's offered at Pitt?
Yeah, absolutely. So any LLC you join is going to have a lot of really cool programming, a lot of like neat faculty interaction and stuff like that. But I think ours really kind of gives you the best well-rounded experience. For the business LLC or for the engineering LLC, you're going to be getting a lot of focus with those particular majors or those very particular kind of like classes. But with the honors LLC, you're going to be meeting faculty from all across the university. You're meeting students from all across the university. It kind of like really, it really says like our idea of like crossing boundaries that really comes out in our residence hall. And I think in an honors residence hall, you definitely get that kind of all around experience and that all kind of encompassing academic kind of vibe.
But that's not required, correct? So students are not required to live in the Honors College Living Learning Community?
Right. Students are free to live wherever they'd like on campus. We definitely obviously encourage you to live in the Honors LLC. You get to hang out with me and all of us and all of our faculty and staff. So it's definitely the best way to be involved in the Honors College. And it's a good way to kind of like get yourself involved as a first year. But if you want to be living in an LLC that's different from that, then that's also totally cool.
And then one more follow-up question with that, Parker. Say a student ends up not living in the Honors College LLC, but they still want to participate in events that are being hosted in Sutherland Hall or wherever the honor students will be living this year. Is that possible for students who are not officially in the LLC to still participate in some of those events?
Yeah, absolutely. No matter where you live on campus, you'll be able to come on up to Sutherland and go to our faculty dinners or our like trivia events or stuff like that. That's all open to anybody in the Honors College.
Thanks, Parker. One of the next questions we got, Dr. Horniak, maybe you'll be able to help the student out. So the specific question was asking about engineering majors in the Honors College. So the students, just to clarify, would still have a major in their specific school. So you'd still have an engineering major, one of the ones that they offer, chemical engineering, electrical engineering. But could you talk a little bit about some of the specific honors courses that engineering students or business students might be able to take, and some of the differences between a typical engineering or business course and then a specific honors course?
One of the most exciting things about especially the first year engineering curriculum is that the engineering students, you have the option, if you want, of taking your entire first year curriculum honors, which is basically an honors calculus course, honors physics, honors chemistry, and an engineering computing course honors. You pick and choose what you want to do. As far as the number of honors engineering students that are in our first year cohort, what we try to do is we try to really have a proportional representation. So however many engineering students are in the entire freshman class, we have that proportion in the honors cohort. One of the advantages, I think, of being an engineering student and also in the honors college, and it applies to all of the other professional schools as well, which are, whether it's business, whether it's nursing, whether it's the School of Computing and Information, is that it exposes you to people across other disciplines. Parker had talked about one of our taglines, one of our themes is crossing boundaries. And the ability to interact with people from different disciplines helps give you a different perspective. And that's one of the strengths of our Honors LLC, is that you interact with a bunch of different people. I did an ethnography once of one of the Honors LLCs, and I was talking with a philosophy major, and I asked him, what about living in an Honors LLC makes it so special to you? And he said what made it special was the fact that he learned more about his discipline because everyone wants to talk to each other. And so he'll start talking about philosophy, and the engineering students ask him, tell me more. What exactly does this mean? Why is that philosopher so funny? And it means he has to learn more and understand in a greater depth, so he gets better at his discipline. At the same time, he might be talking to that engineering student, and the engineering student would ask him, we'll talk about the importance of sustainability in today's society. And he would say, well, why should I, as a philosophy major, care about sustainability? Because all I do is I think great thoughts. And the engineering student would have to explain that to him. And so he brings engineering into philosophy. So this idea of mashing up people from different disciplines is really a strength of Pitt's Honors College.
Dean Morell, Dr. Horne was just talking a little bit about the students who are officially admitted into the Honors College and some of the courses they can take. What about a student? We mentioned when we started about how competitive this process was. So maybe a student who unfortunately wasn't offered admission or was placed on the wait list, but they still want to come to Pitt. Can you talk a little bit about students who aren't officially in the Honors College and how they can still take some of those courses?
Sure. I think the way to think about it is that there are different ways for you to engage with the Honors College. And so, for example, we have research fellowships and other opportunities for you to be able to engage with the Honors College, and you don't have to be admitted to the college or admitted to what we call the joint degree program. We also have the opportunity that after you've been here for a year and you see what the curriculum is like and really get your feet up under you both inside and outside of the classroom, you can apply to transfer into the Honors College after you've been at Pitt for a year. We have a process and a set of requirements for that. And so I do think that there's opportunities to be flexible. You don't have to be in the Honors College to engage with us, to come to our events, our alumni speakers, or community cafes, or some of the other activities. And you can transfer in after you spent a year and we sort of see how you're doing academically. There is a chance to reapply.
Speaking of the application process at the end of the first year, Matt, can you talk a little bit about what you may be looking for credits wise, GPA wise, outside the classroom that would make a strong applicant for a current admitted student at the end of their first year, for example?
Yeah, sure. The application process, what we look for is for a student to have been a student at the University of Pittsburgh for 2 full semesters, accruing at least 24 credits, which means that they were a full-time student at Pitt for 2 semesters. For the joint degree program, we are looking for students who have at least a 3.5 overall GPA. We also look more specifically at their course selection. We want to have students selected for the program who have selected a more challenging course load. So that could be taking some upper level courses during their first or second semester. That could be enrolling in honors courses their first or second semester, because we do allow students who are not admitted to the Honors College their first year to enroll in honors courses. We also ask students to complete short essay prompts, and really with those prompts we're looking for students who have thoughtful and creative responses to them. There really isn't a sort of right or wrong answer. So really what we're looking for are students who have been engaged on campus and who are challenging themselves, because that's exactly what the Honors College is looking for in all of its students.
Thanks, Matt. Just want to thank everyone again for joining today. I see we have a couple new people who came in. Viewers are up a little bit, so we want to just make sure that all the students have the information that they're looking for. So one of the first things that we talked about today, Parker, was the Honors College Living Learning Community, some of the advantages. Are students who have been offered admission to Pitt Honors, are they guaranteed a spot in the housing? Can you talk a little bit about that application process, if anything else is required, and how students can get that spot if they want to live in the Honors College Living Learning Community?
Yeah, absolutely. So we are guaranteeing the access to the Honors Living Learning Community if you're admitted to the Honors College. So what you want to do is whenever you're kind of filling out your housing contract, you're going to go to the area where it talks about all the different LLCs or living learning communities. The Honors one is going to be right under there. We're going to be asking you some questions just to get to know you better. It's not an application or anything like that. It's not going to affect you getting in or not. It's just kind of to get to know our students a little better. But once you fill that out and indicate your interest in honors housing, then you'll be placed in our community. So you have to do just that extra step of checking out that Honors LLC on the housing app. But other than that, we are really looking forward to having you. So, yeah.
And is that housing, is it guaranteed for all 4 years, or is there upperclassmen housing available for students who want to continue on to live in that LLC sophomore, junior, senior year?
Yeah, we do have upper class LLCs as well. We have one that's more traditional dorm style. So you have RAs on every floor. You have to like use the meal plan and stuff like that. We also have one that's apartment style living, so much more independent. And all of our programming for those Upperclass Honors LLC, they're very like student driven and kind of a little elevated. So we'll go on trips to like Falling Water, bring in professors, everything pretty much that the students are asking for, kind of at like an upper level. So those you are also more than welcome to kind of apply for if you are an upper level student. So yeah.
Thanks, Parker. The next question, Dean Morell, start off with you, and if anyone else wants to throw something in at the end, definitely feel free to. What are some of the specific benefits degree-wise, and just how does the Honors College set a student up for the future, maybe differently than a student at a different university, or maybe someone that doesn't participate in some of the honor-specific programming?
No, I think that's a really important question. Whether or not your first destination after graduation is graduate school or full-time employment or other opportunities, being involved in the Honors College has a couple of key benefits. One, it allows you to balance a rigorous academic experience with also activities outside of the classroom. And a lot of times, employers and prospective graduate schools and the like are really looking for students who not only excel inside the classroom, but they're able to do a range of different things outside the classroom that make them distinctive, that allow them to stand out. I think another thing that the Honors College experience allows you to do is it allows you to form relationships with faculty where you can pursue specific projects, be a research project, a community engagement project. It allows you to be able to really have an in-depth understanding of what you're doing in the profession, of what you're doing in the major. And it allows you to really get your hands involved in a very meaningful and a very engaged in a deep way. And I think the third thing, which sometimes we don't talk about as much, but we've seen this in all the interactions with our alum, is that the Honors College builds community. And so it builds community among students across all different majors, all different academic disciplines. And that community becomes really important, both while you're on the campus and also when you're out there as a professional. It's amazing as I've met some of the Honors College alumni and how much they've kept in contact with and worked with and shared all different types of experiences with the people that they met in all different disciplines in the Honors College. And so it really allows you to differentiate yourself. You get a really intensive experience in interacting with faculty on research and other projects, and you build community that's not just for your time here at Pitt. I've seen it be for a lifetime.
Thank you, Dean Morell. All great things that you mentioned. And then Dr. Horniak, I think you wanted to add a few other examples as well.
Yes, let me talk a little bit about some of the longer term benefits of some of our research projects, especially the Bachelor of Philosophy degree, which is an option that students have. Not everyone may want to do it, but it is an option. The idea behind the Bachelor of Philosophy is for you to form a relationship with a faculty member, and the faculty member gives you the same opportunities to do research or scholarship at the level of their graduate students that they work with. And you can do this in any discipline. You can do it in everything from chemistry to bioengineering, to health and rehabilitation sciences, to theater arts and history and political science. I think about one student who did the Bachelor of Philosophy degree. He majored in politics and philosophy and history. And his research was related to old English ideas of law and jurisprudence. And he looked at the writings of someone called Bracton. And what Bracton did is his ideas formed the basis of American law. And so the student and his faculty member, they went to England and looked through some old books. And he wrote his BPhil thesis, and he got his Bachelor of Philosophy degree. Then he went on to, well, actually, he ended up taking a couple years off to do a gap year. And he worked for a nonprofit in Pittsburgh. And then he got into Pitt Law School. And then between his second and third year of law school, he went on an interview for a summer associate position. And he was surprised because during the interview, all they talked about was his BPhil research, not the stuff that he had done in law school, but the stuff that he had done as an undergrad. Long story short, he ended up getting the summer associate position, and he ended up becoming a lawyer in the firm after he graduated from law school. But he asked them, why did I get this? Why did you give me this summer associate position? Why did you give me this job? And they told him the reason why they gave him the job was because of his undergraduate research. Because all the other people who were applying for this summer job, this summer associate position, they were all the same. They all had good grades in law school. They made law review, but this Bachelor of Philosophy research stood out to them, and they found it interesting. And that's why he got the job. And so there can be long-term benefits for your engagement with the Honors College.
As you can see, if you heard from a couple of our Honors College members, there are a ton of benefits available to students, wide variety from research clubs, organizations. One of the things that Dean Morell briefly mentioned was Pitt OCC, the outside the classroom curriculum that's available to Pitt Honors students. Matt, do you think you talk a little bit more about what that all entails and what students can do outside the classroom through Pitt Honors?
Yeah, sure thing, Chris. So we have developed a program that's called the Honors Outside the Classroom Curriculum, Pitt OCC for short. And what we ask students to do is to complete 10 different what are called competency areas. These are things like communication, sense of self, honors pride, a lot of different areas so that students can not only, expose themselves to a lot of like hands-on life experiences that are going to be, very important to them later down the road. But it's also a way for us to recognize and reward students for how they get involved with the Honors College, with the university, and with the community. And it is run through a phone application that students download. And one of the great kind of side benefits to it is that it's a live calendar of upcoming events that we have. It also is sort of a self-guided tour of all of the different resources that the Honors College has to offer. So students can log into the app and they can see all of these different tasks and events that students regularly do. So not only does it tell you that, oh, this really interesting guest speaker is coming in next week, but it also lets you know that students regularly have their research projects published in nationally recognized research journals. So it gives students an idea of what they can do in the short term and what sorts of goals they can set in the long term. And it awards students points in these different competency areas based on the time commitment and, let's say, like the level of effort required. So if a student attends one of our weekly speaker events, they'll receive about that much credit. If they apply to one of our research fellowship programs, just apply for it, they get about that much credit. If they receive one of our research fellowships, they get that much credit. So it's a way to recognize students for their efforts, and it also is a way to encourage them to become more and more involved.
We're about halfway through the Pitt Honors virtual session offered today for business and engineering students. So I want to thank everyone again for joining us today, and thank you to the 4 members of the Pitt Honors College. Matt, we're going to come back to you for another question. Can you talk a little bit about, do students have specific advisors in the Honors College, or are there any opportunities for mentorships available through Pitt Honors?
Yes, Chris. So every student who is admitted to the Honors College, we assign you to one of our scholarship mentors. And they are advisors to the students, but they are not advisors that would replace your academic advisor that you have in the business school or in the School of Engineering. What our scholarship mentors do is they work with students on some of those like big picture academic goals and ideas that they have. So, you know, depending on, you know, what sort of field or, you know, what sort of goals the student might have, that might require, you know, a lot of intensive research experience. It might require a lot of hands-on experience. And our scholarship mentors help students find those resources through the Honors College, through the university, or through the city. Because something that I tell a lot of the students that I meet with is that, you know, one of the great things about, you know, going to college is all the stuff that there is to do. But one of the downsides when you first start college is all the stuff that there is to do, because there is so much of it. You know, it can get a little cumbersome trying to figure out what's going to be most useful and most beneficial to you. The good news is that not only do you have a scholarship mentor through the Honors College, you also have your advisor through your major to help you, you know, sort through and figure out all of these sorts of things.
Thanks, Matt. So as you've heard so far, there's a lot of different benefits and opportunities through the Pitt Honors College. But Dean Morell, we do have some business students tuning in today. So can you talk a little bit about how students can participate both in Pitt Honors, the university-wide honors college, as well as potentially participating in the Pitt Business Honors Program?
Absolutely. One of the things that we do in the Honors College is that we work very closely with the academic units because we want to make sure that we are in sync with the experience that you'll have once you get into the major. And Pitt Business has a specific honors program for business students across all of the different business majors. And what's nice about that program is that the courses that are in the Pitt Business Honors Program, if you're admitted into that honors program, also count for the University Honors Joint Degree Program. And the way to think about the different programs, the honors program and program in business or engineering or the like, is that the Honors College really gives you a breadth of understanding because you're taking general education and other courses that can be inside but also outside of your major. Whereas if you're taking honors within your major, you get the depth of experience and depth of knowledge. In Pitt Business, there's also the certificate in leadership and ethics that you can apply and be admitted to. The courses within that program also count for Pitt University Honors College courses and Honors College credits. And so we really do work very closely with the academic units to make sure that we're balancing breadth of knowledge in the Honors College with depth of what you're getting in the discipline. And so those credits within the Pitt Business Honors Program also count to the 24 with our joint degree program as well.
It's great to hear that the Pitt Honors College and the other academic institutions through the university work very well together, so students can take a lot of courses in both through Pitt Honors and outside of their major as well. But Parker, can you talk a little bit about, does that also apply to the Honors College Living Learning community? So the Pitt works well academically amongst different majors and different schools, but is that the same thing applied to different majors and schools who live in the Pitt Honors LLC?
Yeah, absolutely. So we really use student feedback and what the students want as a basis for who we're inviting to the university, what kind of to the residence halls, what kind of programs we're having and things like that. So it's not just going to be like, okay, we only have, you know, very sciencey professors coming in to talk about XYZ, or we're only having very math or things like that. We try to make sure that we cover all of our bases, and we encourage all of our students, you know, even if you're not like a bio person, maybe check out the bio professor coming in, maybe check out like the bio professor coming in, because they could have a lot to talk about research, give you some interesting information about something you've never heard before, and can kind of encourage you to like cross those boundaries like we were talking about. So we really use the student input to shape all our programming. So if you're in a major and you want a program, we're going to work with you and make it happen. So it's for anybody.
A lot of the things that we've talked about so far have been opportunities on campus through the Pitt Honors LLC in the classroom. But one of the things that we haven't mentioned really at all yet are the study abroad opportunities. Dr. Horne, can you talk a little bit about how Pitt students can get such an amazing experiment, not even on campus as well through the Pitt Honors College?
One of the things that I'm most impressed with at Pitt are study abroad opportunities, because I mentioned I was an undergrad many years ago, and study abroad wasn't as accessible to me as it is now. And so I'm really happy to see that it's such a great opportunity for our students. One of the things that the Honors College does is we have partnered closely with the Study Abroad office, and we actually have a staff member who's embedded in the Honors College who can help with both study abroad programs as well as study away programs. Study away, I think of them more as domestic type programs, whether it's at maybe another university or a field or a summer field program at whether it's Wyoming or New York State. And we try and make it very easy for students to do this. Another thing that we've done just for honors students is working on a select group of study abroad type programs. It might be an entire semester or an entire year, but they're with the top universities in the world, places like London School of Economics or Cambridge or Trinity College. And those are some of the opportunities that are only available to honor students by connecting with us. Your scholar mentors can help you navigate that, as well as Brian Schultz, who's our Director of Global and Experiential Opportunities in the Honors College.
Dean Morell, one of the things that you mentioned a little bit earlier was the joint degree program through Pitt Honors. Can you talk a little bit more about that? What's required? When do you have to join? How much time do you have? Can you get it done in 4 years? Kind of talk about some of the semantics of that program.
Absolutely. So when you apply and you're admitted as a freshman into the honors program, you're also admitted into what we call the joint degree program. And so you're admitted into one of the freshman colleges, which is arts and science, business, engineering, nursing, school of computing and information. And so you get your degree from that freshman admitting college. Let's say if you're a Bachelor of Arts in terms of the major you pick in arts and science. And at the same time, you're asked to complete 24 credits of courses that are designated as honors courses. And there's a very easy way within the student information system for you to identify what those honors courses are at each year that you progress through the program. And you're also asked to complete some outside of the classroom experiences, as you heard from Matt, through our outside of the classroom curriculum. And what that means is as you progress across the 4 years in this joint degree program, you're taking courses that count toward your academic major and toward your honors portion of the degree. So basically, you're in both programs at the same time. And at the end of those 3 to 4 years that you're at Pitt, you get a diploma, which says, let's say, Bachelor's of Arts, right? And it is signed both by the dean of the college, the freshman college that you admitted, and me as the dean of the honors college. And so that's what we mean by the joint degree program. And it really is a wonderful enhancement to the academic experience that you are doing both the requirements within the major, but then this extra component that is specific to the honors college. We also have, as you've heard from David Horniak, we also have this Bachelor of Philosophy degree that is an option for you to be able to pursue. And then we also have what's called the honors distinction, which are for individuals who may not come in as a freshman into the honors college, but still want to have an honors college academic experience. And that is 12 credits, with 3 of them being experiential. You don't get a designation on your diploma as you would if you're admitted to the honors college and the joint degree program, but you get a notation on your transcript that says that you graduated with honors distinction. And so they really are 3 pathways. The major one is when you are admitted to the honors college as a freshman, you are admitted to the joint degree program, which again is 24 credits, 6 experiential, and you get your degree that's signed by both the honors college and the school that admitted you. I hope that makes sense. I don't know, David, did you want to add something to that description?
I think you explained it really well. I think the only thing I would add is that these are all options available to all students, and you can start down the path of one and then change into a path of another. For example, you might start as a first-year student in the honors degree program, but then realize that you're very passionate about research, and so you might want to sort of up your degree to the Bachelor of Philosophy. Or you might decide, oh, I'm not so interested in completing all the coursework for the honors degree, but I'll still do some research, but also still be able to graduate with the honors distinction. So the nice thing is that you can move throughout all of these different options, and so it's got a lot of flexibility. Is what I'd like to say.
Thank you both for explaining all the different degree options and opportunities available to students interested in the Honors College. We have about 10 minutes left, so please make sure to submit any last minute questions. As we mentioned earlier on, we'll do as good of a job as answering the questions live, but if not, we'll be sure to make sure to get you your answer in the chat. One of the questions that we just had submitted was a question about scholarship available to Honors College as freshmen. So all the merit-based scholarships at this point have already been assigned. So those are going to be based off of academics through our office. So the Office of Admissions and Financial Aid assigned those scholarships already to students both in and out of the Honors College. So those were two separate review processes. But I know there are some opportunities to have national scholarships. Matt, can you talk a little bit about how well Pitt students do in those national scholarships?
Yeah, sure thing, Chris. So what Chris is alluding to is there are many organizations that are national and international organizations that give students the opportunity to apply for funding and awards that allow them to do a lot of really amazing things. These things are the Rhodes Scholarship, the Marshall Scholarship, the Goldwater, the Udall, the Fulbright. There are hundreds of these things out there. And this is actually something that our scholarship mentors work with students on for those who are interested in applying for them. And our scholarship mentors do a very excellent job helping students identify which of these programs they may want to apply for. They also help them with the entirety of the application process. And for those of you who might not be familiar with these different programs, the Rhodes Scholarship is the most well-known one. It's also the most notoriously competitive one out there. But for students who want a Rhodes Scholarship, you get full funding to earn a master's degree from Oxford, which is pretty amazing. We had a student win a Rhodes Scholarship a year and a half ago. There are other awards, like I mentioned, the Fulbright, which is still competitive, but not as competitive as, say, the Rhodes Scholarship. Pitt is one of the top producers of Fulbright fellows. We had, I believe this past year, 16 students win a Fulbright. And the Fulbright gives students funding to work on a research project for a year after they graduate from college. And that can take place at a university somewhere domestically or somewhere abroad. There are other nationally competitive scholarships you can apply for to get funding for graduate studies, for research abroad, for study abroad while you're still in college. There's a Fulbright program you can apply for to receive funding to teach English in a non-English speaking country for an entire year after you graduate. There are hundreds of these things out there, and it's probably not going to be something you're thinking about, the first week or month or maybe first semester of college, but it's certainly something to keep in mind, and it's something you can talk to your scholarship mentor about pursuing later on during your time at Pitt.
Thanks, Matt. It's really amazing to see how well Pitt students do in some of those national scholarships. For any other student who is interested in maybe additional merit money, the session before this talked a little bit about Pitt Funds Me. That is an internal scholarship database, both internal and external awards for Pitt students. So if you are interested in potentially looking for more merit money, definitely please look out for Pitt Funds Me for additional ways to receive money. for currently enrolled students or maybe external scholarships as well. Dr. Horniak, just kind of switch it up a little bit to go back to that honors degree program. If you're a transfer student or if you apply at the end of your first year for the Pitt Honors College, you're admitted, are you still able to do that joint degree program even if you don't start as a freshman?
Yes, you can still do it. One of the reasons why we have such a broad program portfolio is, as I mentioned earlier, for students to move in and out. Sometimes if a student transfers maybe a little bit later in their academic career, like in the junior year, they might not be able to do the entire honors degree, which is why we have the honors distinction. But I think most students who apply at the end of their first year will be able to fairly easily complete the requirements for the honors degree. Also, you can sort of post-populate your honors degree. So if you've taken, say, honors courses prior to being admitted into the honors degree or prior to declaring the honors distinction, those will still count for you. So you can start preparing yourself and taking honors courses right now. Same thing with even the requirements for the honors outside the classroom curriculum. You can, once you're in the honors OCC, you can go back and post-populate activities within the honors OCC. So we try to make it pretty easy for students to enter into any one of our programs at any point in time.
It sounds like that there's a lot of flexibility in the degree programs and the other programs available through the Pitt Honors College. Dean Morell, would you say that the Pitt Honors College is very flexible with students?
I think it is the case that we try to give students a personalized academic experience. And so if you're interested in doing an intensive research experience, working with a faculty member and doing an intensive study where you actually produce your own research and then defend that, then the Bachelor's of Philosophy is something for you to be able to consider. If you've come in and you want to be, and you're taking an intensive major that has a lot of credits, but you want an honors college experience, then the honors distinction program might be better for you. So we really do allow a student to map their own course and still have an honors college experience. And so I think in that way, it allows you to be both personalized as well as flexible. Absolutely.
I definitely think that's one of the nicest things about the Honors College is the ability to be flexible with your course scheduling and some of the programs that are available. It is not one of those honors programs where students have a rigid curriculum. You have to do certain programs, certain classes during semesters. You really can personalize your education. And then one way to do that, Dr. Horniak, you spoke about this a little bit earlier, is that BPhil, the Bachelor's of Philosophy degree. Can you give a little bit more information about a student's timeline, when they might start doing research, when those ideas get created, and how they can make sure they have that done during their time at Pitt?
Yes, students wouldn't really start doing the bulk of their BPhil research until their junior year, sometimes in the sophomore year, sometimes as late as the senior year. But it's never too early to begin to learn how to do research. So I think you can start working with faculty members during your first semester here at Pitt. There are some very structured programs that are more geared toward first experiences in research. There are some less structured programs where you reach out and talk to faculty members and begin to work with them on a research project. But the key with starting early is you have to learn some skills. The research skills in a chemistry lab are very different than the research skills that someone in history or theater arts would need. But you have to learn those skills first before you can do a BPhil project. And equally important, you have to learn whether you like research, because if you're not passionate about research, you're not really going to throw your whole heart into doing the BPhil research. You might be able to do a smaller research project, but the requirements for the BPhil are really heavy. So you start during your first year learning how to do research and also learning about whether you like to do research. And then if you find those two sort of working well, then you can build upon it and then eventually do the Bachelor of Philosophy degree.
The BPhil is definitely one of the highlights on the academic side of the Pitt Honors College. Parker, can you just talk about one of the biggest highlights on the non-academic side when it comes to the living learning community?
Yeah, totally. Okay, so I have I have way more than one, but one really good one is the accommodations that we provide. Sutherland is one of the best residence halls at Pitt. It has a dining hall right in there. It has a convenience store. It has a computer lab. That's pretty much anything you need. So, and it also has the biggest rooms. So definitely something to think about. Number two, we do lots of really cool trips. So if you're interested in traveling, definitely come check us out at the LLC. We go to different places around Pittsburgh. We go to DC. We're going to try to go other places. So definitely check that out. And then honestly, the best thing about the Pitt LLC, the Pitt Honors LLC, is just all the different times you can have with all the faculty, staff, and other students in the Honors College. You're going to be meeting some really cool people, and to be able to kind of like have those interactions in your residence hall, in the classroom, on the 36th floor of the cathedral is something unbeatable. So it's really great.
Thanks, Parker. That's actually going to be the end of our virtual session for today. Hopefully we got as many of your questions answered as possible. We'll still continue to answer some in the chat if we weren't able to get to them live. If any student does have a question, Matt Schultz gave out his email a little bit earlier, but if you weren't able to write it down, it's mas216@pitt.edu. So as Matt mentioned, feel free to ask him any questions. We're definitely here to help you. But I just want to thank the 4 Honors College members for helping us today. And thank you to all the students and families for joining in. The best of luck during your college selection process, and hail to Pitt.